Hey folks, editing Sara here. So this is the second part of our two-part discussion of mental as anything. And a heads up that we're going to delve deeper into ideas around domestic violence and trauma. So if that's not something you're comfortable with today, maybe see us another day.
And can you imagine, you know what I mean? What Dargo went through, that guilt, that, I mean, again, podcast name, the trauma involved in that, to have to relive it so many times over, finding bits and scrapes of new data over however long, and then suddenly being confronted with the reality of it. Like, how?
And to have someone, tell him that that something different happened, yeah.
Yeah. It is interesting to reconcile, I guess, Dargo's private fear that maybe he did have something to do with it. Maybe he had hurt Lalonde at some point, with Grace, like, openly confirming, yeah, no, I know you were framed. And I knew you were, like, in prison wrongly. Because grief and trauma can do all that kind of stuff. You mentioned earlier about how hard Dargo is on himself. Like, even with that explicit confirmation from his jailer, he still has these very hurtful and harsh internal doubts about himself. And I have griped about Lux and Hyper Rage from the beginning. And so I was also very grateful that this episode actually took some time to explore Lux and Hyper Rage and not just use it as a plot device. Like, God bless America, that first season episode where it just kicks him off the ship. But like actually taking some time to dig into what it would be like to live with a species specific genetic tendency to fly off the handle at a moment's notice. And how that is reconciled with, how much he loved his wife and Jothi and, all that kind of stuff. It was a really interesting exploration. I found it kind of difficult to pin down a real world metaphor or analog, if even there is one. Sara and I were talking a little bit before the cameras rolled, about, like, it's got flavors of alcoholism. It's got flavors of DID.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. But it doesn't quite seamlessly map on, and ultimately it's just self-doubt, grief, trauma, and gaslighting.
There's this really interesting convergence of, like, because you mentioned alcoholism. There's this really interesting convergence between who a person is and what a person does. Now, that is a very tricky line, and I'm not ever going to pretend to tell anybody, how they map that out. I have a lot of examples of my life. Most people do. That's a personal thing. But you do a bad, now you're bad. And I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about, like, cancel culture. Like, that's not what I mean.
Sure.
Good people do bad things all the time. Again, obviously there's, like, gradients of that. But I think even if you are dealing with something like, this hyper rage, or, like, I think they black out, right?
Yeah.
So it's, like, almost like literally analogous with, like, hardcore alcoholism. I really shouldn't say that. That's not a nice thing to say. But with alcoholism, you black out sometimes. I don't want to prescribe like a degree to an addiction. I don't think that's fair. But if I'll just use that example like directly. I've known alcoholics in my life. I've grown up with alcoholics. I've grown up with addicts. And a lot of them are some of the most incredible people I've ever met. And it's whatever happens at the moment. I don't want to pathologize it. They might do some things that are not great. I've separated myself from a lot of those people. There are some that I still stick with, and I try to help them and carry them through whatever they're going through. But I felt a little seen by that. The hyperage thing, I tend to be kind of a reflexive person. I'm very bombastic. I'm very loud. And especially with like neurodivergence and whatever else is going on in here, I sort of saw myself in ways where I'm like kind of coming out of whatever I'm dealing with. And I'm like, oh my God, like I treated this person really poorly, and I just literally had no idea in the moment because I was so caught up with myself or what I was going through. I really loved how like they showed, it felt like, I think you said earlier, like a catharsis.
Yeah.
Of like, I can do something but not be something. And I'm allowed, the most important part, I think, I just thought of this, like, and I'm allowed to be conflicted by that. Like, I'm allowed to have big feelings about that,
Yeah, I think it doesn't map onto anything specific, but it parallels a lot of experiences. This is something with neurodivergent representation, with autistic representation, we get a lot of sort of allegorical pseudo representation where it's sort of like,
Sure.
A robot or a demon or whatever that is learning to feel and has learning to be human and it's and then it becomes a sort of like, there are a lot of parallels for the autistic experience, even if it's not directly mapping on. And I think this is what we have here is a lot of parallels to mental illness. There are things that I have done under the influence of mental illness that I would not think of as being myself. And there are I know people who have done things under the influence of, alcohol or drugs that they would not think of as, themselves. And I've known a few people with borderline personality disorder, which, you can really find it hard to be in control of who you are. And so, there's parallels to a lot of things. And knowing that you have done things that are outside of what your ego identity of yourself, and then having gaps in memory and not knowing, that I think for Dargo the worst torture is not knowing, the being confronted with not knowing if he hurt Lolan. And Magden just getting in there to twist that knife with him, because he's a right bastard.
Yep.
And then there's also like Magden's memory of the thing is Magden has to excuse himself when he is confronted with his memory of the thing. He has to be like, my peacekeeper instincts took over. I wasn't responsible.
Mm-hmm.
He's obfuscating responsibility and trying to put everything on Dargo. And Dargo is sort of like stepping in to take responsibility for things that aren't necessarily his to carry. Because he's so hard on himself. He is so, the way he talks himself down to Katoya just breaks my heart. Like, I'm not a smart man. I can't control myself. I do the things I don't have the discipline. And then, he actually shows himself to have incredible discipline and to be like, to have all these hidden depths. He just needs to be able to see that in himself. And yeah, which is one of the reasons why him not killing Macton at the end is like, we see him making a choice, and it's such a display of maturity compared to who he was, where he just didn't see himself as having control.
My partner gets on me about this a lot. I had this phrase like burned into my brain, and I don't know why, but I always say, well, I'm not that bright, but, and I'll like say whatever I'm doing, whatever.
No,
and you get on me too, and I appreciate it. I really do.
Like you apologizing for things that are no earthly reason to apologize for.
That's okay. That's a different thing, but yeah, no, same ballpark, different game, same stadium. Well, my partner gets on me about that, and one day I told them, I was like, I say it because like I know that I'm not that smart, and she said something. They said something. I fell in love with them all over again. As they said, even if that's true, you want to learn. And I was like, it was like this whole like brain changing moment where like my entire pathology, as much as that could even be a thing, rearranged itself. Where I was like, oh yeah. Another one, there's a lot of problems with Forrest Gump. But one of my favorite scenes of all time, and I mean this like with my full chest, is the part where Jenny's on the staircase and she tells Forrest that she can't be with him. And this whole movie, regardless of the intent, they've been punching down on Forrest the whole time. I don't want to use this phrase, but they say it in the movie. He's a simpleton. He's not that smart. Whatever. But there's that moment where he looks at her and he says, I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. And he just like walks outside, and like, oh my, like I'm going to cry right now. Like I will bawl my eyes out every time I see that. Because it reminds me of what my partner said that I wanted to learn. It's like, it's a whole thing. People can change. We could be better.
Intellectual curiosity is so much more important than capacity. And
it really is.
We don't even know if capacity is really a thing. We just have like, because IQ is an entirely fake metric. Yeah. Well, it measures something, but it's not intelligence.
I left special education for a reason. That's what I was going to college for. And boy, howdy. Different conversation another time. But no, I would agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Man, that got a little serious, huh?
That'll happen on this particular podcast.
Yes. It's therapy.
Every once in a while, we get a little serious.
Yeah, and Josh, I know you really vibed with the whole Dargo story.
I really did, and I think my favorite part was the way that Dargo defeated Macton, and it falls under the umbrella, I think, of the power of love. But it was the way that they used it, where he said, Lolan would never have left her child without a mother.
Yes.
And like,
best youth of Jossie in the entire
Honestly,
show.
right? and the whole, like, the actual flashback, or actual, as real as that memory might be as well. The final flashback, I suppose, where Lalon is arguing with Macton right before right before he kills her, and saying, like, he would never hurt me.
Mhm.
Like, the whole episode really just comes down to they loved each other so much, and their faith in each other was so unshakable that even when their faith in themselves was tenuous, or in Dargo's case, hard to grasp,
Mhm.
they could still reach for that love that they had for each other to lift each other up. And that was the part that really, gave me warm fuzzies and butterflies and stuff.
I think people really conflate community with, like, the literal definition of it in a way that is, like, unhelpful. And I want to be very clear that I'm not a scholar. I'm not doing the I'm not that bright thing.
None of us
worry.
are. Don't worry.
No, but I'm not a scholar, but just from my lived experience and being an outcast, being included, feeling like my heart is so full that I'm going to cry because I'm so happy, at times, is that when somebody, like, sees you, right, you kind of, like, regain your humanity from, like, a lot of trauma or whatever you've been through, and somebody says, I'm gonna say it really, like, bad here, but, like, yeah, you suck sometimes, but you're awesome. Like, yeah, like, we need to talk about sucking so we can not suck. And so when you have somebody in your life, when you find those people, and I'm not talking about toxicity, I'm not talking about, harmful people, I'm not talking about sticking with family because we share blood. What I mean is, like, you struggle together.
Mm-hmm.
You sit with each other. You hold each other accountable in ways that are incredibly uncomfortable and hard and difficult. And you cry together and you laugh and you work through that. That's the kind of love that I sort of saw in that. It's like, Dargo kind of sucks sometimes. Who among us doesn't? Like, it really felt like a very human reflection of that idea. And coupled with that, my voice is, like, going, but coupled with that idea of, like, not so much redemption, but, like, absolution, learning, growing, understanding, finding the nuance in yourself to be able to move on to something better is so unbelievably inspiring. I've only had the good fortune to experience it a couple of times in my life, but I gotta tell you, it rips. I love it. And I love being able to provide that for people. I think that is, I don't think that there's a greater kindness in the world other than to do that. You know?
To be seen, to be known, is to be loved.
I've been in a very sort of lesbian folk song kind of place with my music taste recently. And it made me think of there's a song by Anita Franco that I like called As Is. And it's like, and I got no illusions about you. And guess what? I never did now. All right, I've seen that you're not perfect. Guess what? I already knew that. and the refrain is like, when I say, I'll take it. I mean it. I always mean as is. when I said I take this package, when I said I take you, I meant as is, like not the perfect, not the thing, but as you are. But I just it's kind of it's just I don't know, a really pretty song.
See, here you're out here listening to like all this high-minded stuff, and I'm cracking up over Sophie Hunter saying, "I need that lumber like I'm Paul Mother effing Bunyan."
Well, that's not so much in the lesbian folk.
No, not at all. It's very queer. Like I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to explain that. But no, I love that though. Like I can never conjure the words to explain my relationship with my partner and the things that they had to deal with. Nobody should ever have to. Between my disability and whatever else, we met when we were kids. I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been together for almost 20 years. And it's so like, I literally don't have the words. It's like, there's all of these things that we say to each other throughout the day that aren't anything, you know? Like little quips back and forth or little referential things or like whatever. And it's through them that I got to this point in the same way as like Dargo. I don't want to make it about me. It's about Dargo. Let's be clear. Right. We should all be so lucky. But the way I'm kind of like losing my words. It's just like, I want that for people.
I want that like for me.
A relationship or a friendship or like whatever, you know, in the same way that Dargo was able to start to at least begin to find the peace of mind within his own like identity, you know, being outside of like hyper rage or like racial lines or like whatever. Mm-hmm. Having that level of love it's unspeakable in a positive way.
Yeah. You know? One of the parallels I think with the hyper range and their relationship is she is kind of like his carer in a certain way, like kind of a relationship that between a person with a disability or with some kind of condition that puts extra strain on their spouse or, you know, means that they may in some way hurt or harm their spouse or their spouse's potential or something like that. And like the extraordinary love of a partner to simply to accept that and to just be there. And it's one of those things. It's there's disturbing statistics about the fact that like nurses and doctors who deal with terminal patients have to be prepared to tell women, have to prepare women that they diagnose for the possibility that their partner will leave. Because like it's so common if a woman gets cancer for the man to leave. The opposite doesn't happen as often, as much. Like, you know, that partly because like society has taught women to caretake, but like when a person does it by choice, not by like some kind of obligation or gendered thing, but just because out of love they want to care for their partner, whatever their partner needs, you know, and that is an incredibly beautiful thing, but it's also like it's terrifying. Like one of the reasons why I've always struggled with like dating and stuff is like I'm terrified of like putting a partner in that position. You know, when I was dealing with my mental health stuff a lot growing up, I was like, I can't date because I can't inflict this on someone. But then, like, because there's an incredible vulnerability and a fear to like know that you're gonna put your shit on someone else. But also like that is a thing that humans do, and like I talked about my grandparents. We had to put my grandmother in a home pretty early on, and that was really hard on my grandfather, but he would go every day long after she'd forgotten who she was or who he was or for anything. He would go every day to bring her flowers. And they had a relationship where, he had diabetes from about type 1 from about the age of 20-ish, which was in the early 30s. So it was a lot more complicated to deal with. And, part of the reason they took a long time to get married is because his disability, because diabetes at the time was disabling because it required someone, like she had to boil syringes. It's like, it was so much more to make it, so little accommodations or anything. And their family and their life had to revolve so much around his disability. And it was this huge commitment. It was difficult for her to decide that she was going to do that, but she decided that she would rather do that than be without him. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like this. I'm just inspired by Lalanne's like incredible gift of love for Rigel. And no, you shouldn't stay with a partner who's harming you. But if they're harming, if in this case, it's like an unconscious, it's like and we wish that they had support. This is what the lefty brain in me is like. No, see, the way to fix this problem is you have a whole safety net of situation and carers and someone way to support her getting through this, so that he doesn't have it, so that he doesn't, so that he can be somehow, have these rages without it harming anyone. But yeah. We don't live in that world. And nor does Darko and Lala, but like there is this incredible gift of love, commitment to love that she makes for him, which is inspiring and incredible, and something her brother could not handle.
I think one of the things that I keep saying, I think, but whatever.
Therefore, you are.
Yes, or am I? I'm just being a goofball. This makes me think about. This is something else I've been thinking about a lot. Is like I don't think that I want like perfect media all the time. There's a lot of bits and pieces. I think that you get to have these complicated characters that are messed. Yeah, obviously there's guardrails here that need to be in place, but I love being able to see like not even necessarily a success story, but just people figuring their shit out. Because if you have to do that, it's not. I'm not saying anything new or unique right now. It's just like it's not a movie. It's gross and it sucks, and you hate it, and it makes you feel bad, and it makes the other person feel bad, and then you work through it, and now it's better. If you had like a perfect representation of like a redemption arc, it wouldn't be fun to watch because what complicated decisions are you making? It just becomes one of the bad Marvel movies.
Some like AI sloth that just is. This is a formula we know works, so we're going to regurgitate it exactly. No, but
I am the best, smartest white man, and I have all the powers, and I am always morally correct, and action. The movie. I like a lot of Marvel movies, but
yeah. The thing about like imperfect media as well is like it gives you the chance to improve because we talked about this team made a prefect murder, which is a complete mess. And they were trying a bunch of stuff, and it just kind of not in the disaster, not some of the one of the total disasters is the two worst we've discussed, but a souffle that didn't rise, and so but then they try again, and this time we get something really quite remarkable because sometimes you need another hit at the sports metaphor thingy.
I always tell people, I say, if you want to see why bad media, not bad, but imperfect media can be good, watch by David Lynch, watch Eraserhead, Blue Velvet, and then Mulholland Drive. Like, you can see a clear line of improvement. I like all of those movies. But David, just shortly before he died, he was talking about a lot of his films and like his journey as a filmmaker. And he's always been kind of this like highfalutin meditative, I do tantric meditation or whatever it is.
You can kind of tell that in his works too.
Yeah. And but one of the things that he said that really stuck with me was he said, you have to fail so you can win. Like, you have to do whatever. He frames it as some, mystical thing, but it's like, do what your heart's telling you so you can do what your heart wants in terms of like media.
You got to have the first bad pancake to get the.
That is a
Without
much.
the darkness, how would we know the light?
That's a much more cogent way to say it.
Oh, okay. We've been talking for a while, but does anyone have anything else? I mean, I think we probably could go on and on and on about this one because it's very good and it's juicy. But do you have anything else you're dying to get off your chest, Josh? You've been just kind of like chilling there for a bit.
I'm not chilling. I am happily engrossed in the things that you guys are saying. But no, when it comes to the episode specifically, I think the only other interesting bit that came out of it was we started off with a moment of squee for me of getting to see Aaron and John together, and unless that's some sort of a futuristic kind of a thing, she gave him a TV, and that's really cute. And I just love them so much. I'm so glad that they're finally together. But yeah, that's the only other thing, isn't it? Just really happy where we are in the story so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And where do you think we're going to go next?
It's all going to fall apart. Because every time I'm happy, this show fucks me up.
No, come on. It's nothing but sunshine and rainbows from here on out. They're going
this is
to
not Muppet Sex and Sunshine.
They're going to have the kid, and they're going to get married, and they're going to go off in the sunset, and yeah.
Stop it.
Are you ready for the title of the next episode?
I am. Hit me.
Bringing Home the Beacon.
Oh, it's cute.
Any ideas?
I mean, other than the literal one that they're going to find a beacon and bring it back to Moya, I think John is finally going to introduce Aaron to bacon.
Okay, that's a nice possibility. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So, Oddnon, you got any ideas on based on bringing home the beacon?
I don't, but I don't know how this would work, but can we have an entire show that's like just Moya?
I
just want to know so much more. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, we unfortunately that's something we don't have. Maybe you should write that as a fan fiction.
I'll do a spec.
Yeah, let's do favorite parts then.
Oddnon.
I'm just gonna go with so I loved what does he say? What does John say? What is this for? Or does this when he opens up the remote?
Oh yeah, does this come with something?
Is that it? I thought that was cute. But I gotta go back to Dargo.
Yeah.
I think that was a really beautiful thing. I've been struggling with words today. I haven't slept in like 5 days, but I thought it was really
fine.
great. I really appreciated the way that they sort of like wove that story web to tell like a lot more of a nuanced story of like understanding yourself, memory, trauma, like revisiting the past, absolution, things like that.
Yeah.
Josh?
I mean, there were several moments that I really enjoyed. Like obviously John and Aaron together at the beginning, Dargo's final victory over Macton. But I think like the moment that made me like, yeah, the most was probably Rigel winning his little mental sport arena duel.
I just kind of like Rigel. He's a little
he's a little bastard.
Scamp. He's a little scamp. He's a small bean.
I gotta go with Dargo as well. I think for me, it's one of a moment I particularly like is like the when he is telling Katoya that he can't control himself and he's not strong and et cetera, and then he pulls himself together, and Katoya is like, "Hey, look, you are capable." Like he needs people to mirror back to him. Look, you are fucking amazing, Darko. You are. He is like he has come so far in terms of controlling his anger and using his anger and having like leadership skills, and he is such a good buddy to John. Like they just have the best bromance. He's so supportive, such a good friend. Yeah, him and Shiana, yeah. But like he's one of my favorite characters for a reason, and not just because I like himbos. He is, he's a big tank with a big heart of gold, but also like he works so hard to grow, and he does. We will be back in 2 weeks for Bringing Home the Beacon. I'm not entirely sure who we will have joining us for that discussion yet. Perhaps editing Sara knows. Our guest will be Ren the Barbarian.
I always have confidence in editing Sara.
And Josh and I will be reacting to that episode as well, as we are attempting to react to all of the episodes left in the series. And we are counting down. This was number 15. So we have 15 of 22. And
we are well over the halfway mark.
Yeah. Final season, right?
We do have the 2-part mini series that finishes, but yes. So
it's the final. Well, you know the rest.
YouTube, don't copyright strike me.
Okay, so Oddnon, thank you so much for joining us once again. It's a joy to have you.
Love every time that I get to sit down with both of you. It's always a blast. And I always like walk away with something entirely unrelated from the show to like just kind of sit on, chew on, roll around in my head. So thank you for having me.
Glad we could provide that.
And it's nice for Josh to have a fellow bearded wife guy in the chat.
Yeah, we're doing.
So I was told being a wife guy was
good.
bad. I was told that like you don't want to be a wife guy, but like I think that's just me.
Yeah, man. I love my wife.
Yeah.
Every time.
The kind of people who would consider wife guy an insult are the kind of people you want to avoid.
Yes.
That actually puts a lot of context on that. All right.
So, do you want to tell the folks where they can find you?
You can find me nowhere, actually. Not right now anyway. But I do stream from time to time on twitch.tv/ODDNON. I write a comic about a horse sorcerer fighting the T-Rex executioner over a VHS copy of Top Gun. So if that sounds like something you want to look into, you can. The series is wrapping up. I really just kind of stay out of the limelight, but if you want to catch me streaming, that's where you can find me.
Gosh.
You can find me in your usual mental palace. Bless you. You can find me in your usual mental palace, in the imperfect memories of your past. I'll be there. But also on Instagram, at Josh Gosdin. Come over, hang out. It's a good time. Sarah?
I'm sorry I make the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube. I am working on one, and make brain work. Make brain work in summer is hard. Hopefully I will have that out, and I'm also on Blue Sky, and you can find me there. The links for my stuff and Oddnon stuff, and I'll be in the doobly doo. And you can, if you have comments, we won't read any comments today because we've talked a lot. But if you have comments for us, you can reach us. You can comment on the YouTube video, or you can join our Discord, or email us, or you can always join our Patreon. And all the links to all of that is also in the doobly doo description.
Can you please join the Patreon? You really should.
And what did we say that what was the deal you and I made with Ren? If we got 5 new Patreon supporters, we'd watch Men of Steel together and do the thing.
Yes. Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
Just one man.
There's just one man.
Steel.
Can it please be multiple men?
That is a different kind of film.
I'm
entirely sure that it has been made.
We could. Actually, Patreon is
I think platform. I would almost rather watch that than Zack Snyder, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that.
But we did say we will. You are going to try and justify this film to Ren and I.
No, I'm not. That was never the deal. We'll watch a movie together.
Explore what you see in it.
Okay, we'll do that, sure. But I'm not out here to change anybody's. Look, you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like, and I'm glad that you're here regardless.
I want to hear it because, well, we'll talk about it another time.
Well, maybe you should join the Patreon.
Because I have mentioned Man of Steel and my thoughts on it before.
Anyway, that's enough plugging. That's enough rambling. Thank you, both the wife guys, for chatting with me today. We will see you in 2 weeks for Bringing Home the Beacon.
Sounds good, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Take care.
Okay, so
that was great.
I was like, wait, what?
I hit a button. I hit the space bar by accident. I did.
Most anticlimactic end to a podcast. And we're out.
I don't know why, but I thought you were like mad for a second, where you were like recording ending. Okay, and I was like,
that was so great.
Okay, I hit the space bar and it stopped. Okay, so right. I don't know what to do for the preamble. Have you actually seen? Have either of you actually seen Bridge Over the River Kwai?
A long time ago.
I probably have at some point, but I couldn't tell you for sure. You know,
it's been a while, but it's one of David Lean's, and he's one of my favorite directors. So yeah, it's pretty, and about colonialism, which is two things that it is common with David Lean.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, this is the guy who did Dr. Zhivago and Lawrence of Arabia. So you know.
Oh, okay. Also, I have seen Lawrence of Arabia. I don't know why. It's like one of my dad's favorite movies.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies.
He loves I don't mean to say that like at anything about the movie. It's just like I've seen it like hundreds of times. I feel like
I know, like Omar Sharif is like a member of the family. But I mean, is your dad any more aware than mine of how freaking gay it is?
No.
It is the gayest film.
I just remember watching it as a child, like with my dad, and I think sort of like the crossover there is like Arabs were like starving for just representative films or representation, and to that point, like, sorry, Josh.
I said literally anything.
Yeah, and like that was like kind of the thing is like it just like desert was like enough. Like,
but yeah, Omar Sharif. Omar Sharif, like yes.
Have you guys seen that extended TikTok of whenever Hollywood depicts Arabic countries?
It's
the piss-colored filter.
I've gotten into archiving. Okay. I've gotten into archiving because the internet, however it exists right now, it ain't going to last. So, and I've only extended it as like so far as to like things that I find funny or things that people send me that are funny, or like, hey, you need to save this. I have an entire folder of like these weird TikToks, and that's one of them. Mm-hmm. It's like that, and like basically all of Randy Ayub's videos, like the Arab Dad guy.
I don't think I've seen him.
Oh, they're hilarious, but it's that, and like I love the when is it a sitar? But like the guy goes, "Welcome, my friend." And then they do like everything.
I like the girl who is chewing like a camel.
Like they had pop music, like they had synthesizers. It's okay. Like you can just say that.
Yeah, no, and I think like have you seen Moonlight? Have you seen Moonlight?
I haven't.
Oh, it's Marvel, but it's one of my favorite Marvel things. And they go to Egypt and there's no filter.
Sorry, Moon Knight.
Yes, Moon Knight.
For some reason, I thought you said Moonlight. No, I love Moon Knight so much. I love Oscar Isaac.
Yes.
If I was swinging on that tree, I'd be batting for his team, like full stop. He's an incredible actor too, you know.
Yeah. But also like we have an Egyptian superhero.
I never because that is a really brilliant thing to bring up. I've been a big Moon Knight fan most of my life. Like, I grew up around comic books. The background of it is wholly unimportant. It never clicked to me until the show came out. You know, like, that's how alienated.
Yeah. And I mean, it has all the Marvel, a lot of the Marvel problems of like, ooh, big CGI fight. But there's also like, there's a Egyptian superhero, and the little kid goes, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" in Arabic.
That's the first time that ever came up to me. And I know that this isn't the point of the podcast, but Kamala Khan,
Yeah,
the new Miss
fucking
Marvel.
love Kamala Khan.
I was so obsessed with that. I had every issue, I think through like 40, before she started dating or had like a love interest with the new Spirit of Vengeance Ghost Rider, which was Robbie Reyes. Robbie Reyes, sorry.
Yeah, I've got like four of the big ones of hers. I haven't gotten that far, but yeah.
It's probably like 30 some odd issues.
And I'm sick of Marvel stuff, but anything that has the Khan family, I will absolutely watch because I love that family.
It's so beautiful. Yeah. Like, the thing that stuck out to me is growing up the way I did. I was very alienated from a lot of that stuff, and a lot of that was on purpose or for lack of a better way to say it, safety reasons, really.
Yeah.
But like, reading about a character, there's nothing in that book. Her identity is only as important to her as it is to her as a character.
Mm-hmm.
That was incredibly validating to me. I was already an adult, and I was like, where was this story when I was a child? And I was struggling with this. She was struggling with the same things that I was in a lot of the same ways. And I think that the way that it was written, because it was written by a person that has those experiences, painted it in like this wonderful way. Even like her fundamentalist brother kind of comes around. They had this like whole story where like nobody is one. It's not just Muslim woman who wears a hijab. She's a complete character who grows, learns, changes.
Yeah,
I thought it was beautiful. I'm sorry for getting off the point, but
I no, it's a fun digression. I gave my niece a doll of Kamala Khan a couple of years ago, and they were absolutely in love with Supergirl, as they were going.
I love that. That's awesome.
It's like, here's a superhero that looks like your mom.
It's really it's fulfilling in a way that I don't think a lot of people fully understand. And I guess I don't know how to expound on that more.
Yeah,
but like, there's just something about seeing yourself.
You get it. I mean, Josh, you get it.
I do.
Yeah.
There's any number of bits of representation that have been very validating for me over the years as well.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear about that a little bit if we have time for that.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of stories about the Mexican experience or the Latino experience in the United States, and specifically the sensation of being caught between worlds. and caught between a stereotype and a person kind of a thing. And I mean, as far back as I think like Fools Rush In or Selena, even, there were points where I was like, yeah, that is what it's like. But getting to see my culture celebrated in such a like a loving and authentic way. Latino generally, if not Mexican specifically, I think One Day at a Time is a really good example of that.
I think you and I talked about Prada to Nada at one point, because I love it as a as a Jane Austen adaptation.
And Jessa, that's my wife. That's one of her favorite movies as well. And it's just very like, are there really kind of harmful depictions out there? Yeah. Are there really kind of stereotypical depictions out there? Yeah. But even sometimes, like you were saying, like any representation can help in some ways.
I don't think Lawrence of Arabia is harmful. It's far from ideal, but considering it was made in 1962,
yeah.
when Edward Said had not even written anything, let alone Orientalism, I think like it actually depicts Orientalism really well, and I really like it in because like it's also a very like interesting depiction of like the Peter O'Toole always reminds me of my grandfather, my English grandfather. But it's interesting and kind of messy, because of course they're just like they have to keep the gay stuff very coded. They also have to keep the colonial criticism very coded because that is also not allowed in film at the time. So there's a lot of show don't tell. Which is, it's one of those things. It's like it's the way that it's been picked up and reiterated has made a bunch of white savior shit and like really solidified some and also like a bunch of hero crap, even though like it's actually a dissection of hero narratives. Because it's hard to know that if you don't know some of the coding, like which is just like things that Lean assumed you would know, which is like the film opens like at first there is him dying, so he's mortal, and then there's the prologue of it's people think it's a funeral, but it's his statue being unveiled in St. Paul's Cathedral, in this place that is like the Hall of Heroes, so heroes of the Empire and of England, like where like Walter Raleigh and the Duke of Wellington are buried. So it's like this thing. It's kind of like when, somebody gets a bust in Poets' Corner in Westminster. That's like, oh, you are now part of the English literature canon. This is like, you are now a canon hero. And so, and it opens. And so one of the first like lines in the film is this discussion between a priest and this character, Brighton, who is sort of created as an avatar of Britain. Who sort of is kind of is always, watching Lawrence throughout the film. But there's this priest talking to Brighton, looking at the bust, and he says he was great, but does he belong here? So the whole, like, it's setting up going, is he a hero? And also like by virtue of the setting, it's like, is the Empire heroic? Because this is, and then they like go outside and ask a bunch of people, and then there's a reporter asking a bunch of people like how they saw, their opinion of Lawrence, and one guy's like, oh, he's the most shameless self-promoter imaginable, which is true. He was a total egomaniac. And that's arrogant guy is like, oh, he's had a minor role in my stuff. And then we go back in time. So like, yeah, it's set up to be like to be asking the question, is he a hero? Like, what is heroism, and is the Empire heroic?
Okay, so if I may,
We're close to making our own separate episode at this point.
I
Yes,
guess.
this is definitely going in an outtake of.
So I don't know why I never contextualized it like that.
Well, because the coding is lost. Because nobody knows that. Because like he doesn't make clear to people who aren't his generation in English what the hell St. Paul's is and why this statue matters.
Well, I don't really have a lot more to say than that. Other than I think one of these days, I think over a couple days or like maybe 2 movie nights or whatever, I want to sit down and watch it with you.
Okay, and I'll point out the gay stuff.
I haven't seen it in probably 15 years.
We should see if we can get like our Arab friends together and do that as like a recording.
Yes,
we will do that. Yes,
that sounds really fun. I'm excited. I don't like. I just my brain is like, bzz, like that sounds awesome.